Dear students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Mahesh Kalra, Curator of Numismatics at the Asiatic Society of Mumbai, and I welcome you to the module of coinage of Marathas under Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj and the Maratha Confederacy under the subject heading Indian Numismatics. Under this module, we are going to study and explore the coinage of the Marathas from the 17th century right up till the 19th century. So the subject covers the aim of this module is to review various types of Maratha coinages issued at the different periods of Maratha history. It is also to bring in focus the volume of each coin type from the period of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj till the loss of Maratha power in 1818. The module also covers the various influences on Maratha coinage right from local powers to imperial coinages of the Mughals. The module, however, excludes the coinage of Maratha princely states which survived the loss of Maratha Confederacy to the British in 1818. Basically, the Marathas were a power which grew from the Deccan. Deccan, if we observe, is a region of India geographically which is isolated from the northern India, basically by a solidified basalt barrier of steep mountain ranges stretching from the east to west in the form of eastern and western Ghats, complemented by some ancient rivers like the Tapti, the Narmada and Mahanadi in various directions. In the ancient period, right up till the medieval period, this was a reason for a physical barrier from the northern India, and thus the Deccan developed a very different cultural paradigm from the ancient to the medieval period. Deccan, of course, is an anglicized version of the Persian term Dakkan, which comes from a Sanskrit term Dakshinapatha, which means the southern pathway. This has been employed in various epics and Purans right up till the medieval period, and we will be looking the influence of this on the history of the Marathas. So if we look at the history of ancient Deccan, we see various dynasties which came into power, beginning with the Mauryas, who then gave way to the Satavahanas right from the 3rd century BC to the 3rd century of the Common Era, when they issued lead, potent, silver and various kinds of gold coins. At this stage, we also find Roman gold coins coming to Deccan. Post the Satavahana period, we find a period of confusion where there are various local dynasties which also issued their own coins, largely in base metals like lead, potent, very sparingly in silver. Then in the early medieval period, we find the Seona, the Hoysalas and the Kakatiyas issuing their coins from the 11th to the 14th century, majorly using gold as a medium, though there are also coins of all these dynasties in silver and base metals. Also then we find the later Islamic period under the Khaljis and the Tughlaqs, basically in the 13th and 14th centuries, where again gold, silver, billion and copper coins were issued. And finally, just before the Marathas, there is the Bahmani and the Vijayanagar influence, very strongly influencing the coinage of the region. So it is under this condition that the Marathas came into power on the vestiges of the Bahmanis, that is the Dakkani Sultanates of Ahmednagar, Bijapur and Golconda, and Vijayanagar and its remnant under the Nayakas of Vijayanagar. Marathas began as a small power under Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj somewhere in the 1650s, but they soon built a very compact Maratha kingdom spread over the western Maharashtra and Karnataka under a very able leader, Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. After his death in 1680, Maratha power waned for a while due to a very huge Mughal invasion in the region, but they revived again in the early 18th century under the Peshwas. The Peshwas again were initially prime ministers of the Maratha Chhatrapatis, but soon they became a power by themselves seated at Pune. And later they also had their own local chieftains seated in Nagpur, Indore, Gwalior, Baroda, basically controlled from Pune. So this was the second stage of the Maratha Empire when it grew into a large Maratha Confederacy. But in 1761, after the third battle of Panipat, the Maratha power tilted in the favor of the local four chieftains of Nagpur, Indore, Gwalior and Baroda, with a nominal chieftain of Peshwa at Pune and a very nominal Chhatrapati seated at Satara. The Maratha Confederacy lost its joint power after the Third Anglo-Maratha War of 1818, and as I have already explained, post this period we find that there were a lot of Maratha princely states which survived, but that is not the subject of the discussion today. So the Maratha empire timeline is the Chhatrapati period from 1664 to around 1700 AD. Then there is 1710 to 1761, which is the Peshwa period. Again, this is a period of great influence. Finally, there is the Confederacy period stretching from 1761 to its final defeat in 1818. Now, the Maratha coinage had various influences and various paradigms that influenced it. First of all was the coinage, copper coinage of Bahmani and Nizam Shahis, which influenced the copper Shivrais of the Marathas. Then there was the gold, Phanams and the Huns of the Vijayanagar Empire. This basically gave rise, or rather influenced, the Huns of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, which he issued in 1674, just immediately on the verge of his coronation at his capital, Raigad. And finally, in the later Maratha period, there was the Mughal system of trimetallic currency based on the silver rupee, but having its gold and copper units, which came from North India. This influenced the Peshwas to issue their own coins of Mughal types due to their prevalence in the region. So thus we have three of these influences influencing the currency: the Bahmani, the Vijayanagar and the Mughal. None of these had a total impact, but they were influencing the coinage at various times. For instance, the copper Shivrai and its weight pattern is directly linked to the Bahmani copper coins. But these are basically issued right from the period of Shivaji up till the 19th century. Then we have the Huns and the Phanams, which were issued for a very limited period, but they are directly connected to Vijayanagar. And also we find in Huns and Phanams the use of Nagri, again linked to the Vijayanagar Empire. Finally, the Peshwai period, we find copies of Mughal coins or actual coins which were of local varieties, minted but having certain mint marks which distinguish them as Maratha rupees. So first, under Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, we find his rising as a rebel son of a Adil Shahi noble in 1640s, but his major victory came with the defeat of Bijapuri noble Afzal Khan in 1659. This was followed up by successive raids and conquest of various Maratha forts. Also a very successful raid on the very rich city of Surat, the port city of the Mughals, enriched his treasury enough to declare himself a Raja. Thus his biography, the Sabasad Bakhar, written by Krishnaji, claims that he declares himself as Raja in 1664, and he also issued coins on this occasion. But the major question is, can these coins be considered as the existing Shivrai? In my opinion, this is basically how a Shivrai looks. It has a obverse legend Chhatrapati and a reverse legend Raja Shiv. As we realize, the title Chhatrapati was taken by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in just 1674. So most of his coins have this title, and none of the coins exclude the title of Chhatrapati. So in 1664, either there could have been coins which could have been just having a limited issues, limited to the inner circle of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, where he identified himself as Raja, and most probably these coins have not survived. Alternately, this could have been a misunderstanding on part of the biographer. We see some of these coins of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj which have a very well defined border, dotted border. These are believed by many coin collectors to be coronation pieces of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and thus in this PowerPoint we have called them as coronation Shivrais. None of the coins of this variety come with any dates, so it is very difficult to say that they were actually coronation Shivrais or not. The other main issue with Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj is the issue of a very beautiful Hun with his own Nagri titles, These have again the same title, Chhatrapati on one side and Shri Raja Shiv, divided in 3 lines. These coins are very rare and some 4 to 8 pieces have survived in the modern period. This tells us that probably these coins were again struck in a very limited quantity, or they were melted by the Mughals when they took over Raigad in 1690. If we look at the side very closely, we see one of the surviving pieces, which is Shri Raja Shiv and Chhatrapati. The next slide has another rare piece from the National Museum, and very limited of these pieces have survived. Also, we find in case of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, small coins called fanams and half fanams which have survived in the modern period with the similar inscriptions, Shri Raja Shiv and Chhatrapati on both the sides. These again are supposed to have been issued on the verge of his coronation. Similar coins also appear regularly in the coin markets with silver and base metals. The silver ones are believed to be possibly modern copies of these coins. There are no records of Shivaji's silver hoons being issued at any stage in any of the historical references. Another interesting piece of history which is connected to coins is one of the coins of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, which has the legend Raja Chhatrapati Shiv along with Shri Jagdamba Prasann. Now these coins are again believed to have been issued by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, who is believed to have believed in Ai Jagdamba, who was his patron saint and patron goddess, and believed to have been issued by Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj as a rupee. However, recent research has brought out fresh evidence that these coins were probably issued by a later Shivaji of the Kolhapur branch, probably Shivaji III. And these are not connected to Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj the Great. Also, we find the various types of Chhatrapati Shivrais. Since these were issued for a very, very long period, we find varieties of these. As already explained, there are coronation Shivrais, then there are half dotted border Shivrais. There are also very many numerous fractions of the Shivrai. So which tells us that this was a detailed system which evolved in the Maratha Empire. There are also references of the British period of Shivrais still being used by the local populace, pointing to its successful issue by the Marathas. We also find at the later stage various other coins of issued by the later Chhatrapatis. We find Shivrais in the name of Shivaji's successors, namely Chhatrapati Sambhaji, Chhatrapati Rajaram and Chhatrapati Shahu. These, however, the volume of these Shivrais is very small, which tells us that these were probably issued in a very limited period and for a very little volume. However, the large number of Shivrais convince us that they were very popular and thus issued for a very, very long period. We find references to Shivrais in the name of Chhatrapati Shivaji being issued even in the later period on the orders of the Peshwas. So this is a Chhatrapati Sambhaji Rajesh Shivrai. Then we have Shivrais in the name of Chhatrapati Rajaram and Chhatrapati Shahu Maharaj. This brings us to the question of the coinage in the period of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj the Great. We find that he was unable to implement a uniform coinage in his vast empire since it crossed various different monetary zones. Looking at his treasury at his death, one of the contemporary authority tells us that he left 68 kilograms of gold fanams, 5 lakh hoons, various types of rupees, Spanish dollars, even Venetian ducats coming all the way from Venice. These were called as putlis in Maharashtra in view of the Christian imagery on these coins. And finally, we have the gold mohurs of Surat, which definitely came from the Surat raid and other Mughal mints. The later period of Marathas, as I already elaborated, was under the Chhatrapatis of Satara and Kolhapur. In 1690s and 1700s, there was a Maratha civil war which divided the Maratha kingdom into 2 branches of Satara and Kolhapur. The Kolhapur branch under Tarabai and her son Shivaji III issued Mughal rupees very early in the name of Mughal Emperor Farrukh Sir. These have the mint name Sarkar Raibag Kolhapur. From the period of Muhammad Shah, we find even the Satara branch going on to issue coins of the Mughal type from various mints. Thus, we find the Rajas of Satara and Kolhapur having their own coins copied or minted with the Mughal permission in the middle of the 18th century. Various mints have been named of this period under the Rajas of Kolhapur. These are Kolhapur, Kagal, Panhala, Kapsi, Raibag, Malkapur, Bavda, Manoli, Chikodi, Vishalgarh, Hokeri and Malvan. The mints of the Rajas of Satara are numerous and too vast to mention, but they are spread right across the western Maharashtra, right up till Gujarat and parts of central India and North India. Since the Rajas of Satara under Peshwas grew much more than the Rajas of Kolhapur. We find also in the later Peshwa period the various other powers like Gaikwads of Baroda, Holkars of Indore, Scindias of Gwalior, Bhoslas of Nagpur, Pawars of Devas and Dhar, Ghorpades of Guti, Rastes of Vai, Patwardhans of Miraj and Sawants of Wadi, issuing their own coins with peculiar mint marks. Also, the Marathas took to copying certain popular Mughal rupees. Famous amongst these copies was one of the rupee of Aurangzeb from Dicholi mint. These come with the regnal year of 47 and 48 but have been vastly copied by the Marathas. We also find one known as Shambhu Khani Pir Khani rupee, Shambhu Pir Khani rupee, which has this same copy of Aurangzeb's rupee with the image, the mint mark of a Shivalinga. Also, another famous copy was of Muhammad Shah's Azamnagar Gokak rupee, which was struck at various mints with additional mint marks. Another famous coin which was copied vastly was the Delhi Shahjahanabad Darul Khilafat mint coins. Again, these coins were not minted in Delhi but were copied in Maharashtra in the mint of Bagalkot. So this is the Shambhu Pir Khani rupee, which has the lingish symbol on the reverse, pointing to its issue by the Marathas. And these are the Darul Khilafat Shahjahanabad coins of Bagalkot, which again have peculiar mint marks on the reverse, and they don't look exactly like the coins, actual coins issued by Muhammad Shah in Delhi. In the later period, numerous mint marks came to dominate the coins of the Marathas. Since these were issued by various mints, many of these mints developed their own mint marks, which were basically symbols of the Maratha power, and they used various war symbols like the Ankush of Ganpati. Ankush was used on many rupee coins from various mints, and these rupees have been classified by modern numismatists as Ankushi rupees. Then there is the Nagfani or the Hali Sikka rupee, which has a scissor or a spectacle like mark resembling a cobra. Then there is the Jari Pataka rupee with the Maratha pennant or the flag. And there is the Tura rupee, which was issued from Chandor, which has the flower sprig as the mint mark, and a Farshi, a Maratha battle axe mint mark, which classified these rupees. So these are the examples of Ankushi rupees issued from various mints with the image of Ankush or Ganpati's trident on the reverse, elephant goad on the reverse, and also these modified mint symbols was adopted in Ahmedabad when the Marathas captured Ahmedabad under the Gaikwads. Then these are the Nagfani or Hali Sikkas. These were majorly issued from Pune, but also some other mints copied this style and mint mark. The Tura rupee, which was employed on Chandori and Wafgaon in a modified form, was also again a mint mark of the Marathas. Mind you, most of these are copies of actual coins of the Mughals, so they have the legends in Farsi, Persian language and script. The Jari Pataka, which was again the Maratha flag, hoisted by the Marathas on the eve of war. The Farshi rupee again has a battle axe, probably resembling the battle axe of Parshuram. Also, another interesting thing we see is Devanagari mint marks. These are sometimes initials written in Devanagari like Shri or Ga, representing Ganpati. Also, there is another rupee of Miraj which has a whole legend Shri Ganpati on it, which tells us that the Marathas were very, very confident of issuing these coins with their own cultural legacy on them. So these are the Ganpati Sikkas of Miraj, which have Ga written on it in Devanagari, standing for Ganpati. Then these are the Shri Sikkas, which have Shri written in Devanagari, and rest of the design is totally Persian. And finally, the coins of Miraj, issued by the Patwardhans. Now this has a very interesting history to it. It is believed that there is another part of the legend which says Shri Pant Pradhan, which was the title of the Peshwa, and these are believed to have been issued as kind of presentation marks or nazranas to the Peshwa at his darbar in Pune. So this is the rupee which has the whole design with the name of the Mughal emperor, but there are certain Devanagari legends like Shri Ganpati and Pant Pradhan, Shri Pant Pradhan written, inscribed in Marathi Devanagari. Finally, there were many other powers under the Marathas, the local chieftains or the Sardars, who issued their own local types. One of the interesting types is the Guti Fanam with a snake, also known as the Cobra Fanam. These were again issued by a Maratha Sardar from Guti mint. Also, vastly numerous was the Maratha mints acquired from in central India and North India. The central India mints included Balanagar Gadha, also called Gad Mandala, Jalon, Kalpi, Kunch, Kunar, Balwant Nagar, that is Jhansi, Mahoba, Ravish Nagar, Sagar, Sironj, Srinagar, and some minor mints in Banda district of UP. Also the North Indian mints, which came to be dominated in the last quarter of the 18th century when the Mughal power was at its base, included Agra, which was also called as Akbarabad, Ajmer, Delhi, Etawah, Gokul, Mathura, Vrindavan, called as Bindraban, Muminabad, Gokulgarh, Haridwar, and finally Lahore and Multan. Saharanpur in eastern Uttar Pradesh was also a part of this. As already elaborated, the Maratha Confederacy came to an end in 1818. The British took over the Pune Mint and issued coins briefly before closing it down in the 1830s when its own uniform British Indian rupee came into existence. However, the Confederacy powers survived as princely states. These included the Bhosle Maharajas of Kolhapur and Satara, the Savantwadi state, the Akkalkot state, Kingdom of Nagpur and Barshi, Gaikwad Maharajas of Baroda, Scindia Maharajas of Gwalior, Holkar Maharajas of Indore, Pawars of Dhar and Devas. These have been covered elsewhere with the Indian princely states. However, the Pune Mint with its English coins have been illustrated here. As you can see on the slide, many of these have English dates, thus exemplifying that these were issued by the English. As a continuation of the currency of the Maratha areas in the middle of the 19th century. We finally come to the summary. To sum up, the Maratha Empire's coinage was a diverse coinage, not centrally controlled by the Peshwas or even the Chhatrapatis at any stage of its existence. This led to its currency being issued in a very diverse form, sporadically in the earlier stage, more widely in the later stage, but not controlled. Thus, there was no standardization of the Maratha coinages at the later period. Copper units of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj's Shivrai were highly minted and having a great volume and velocity. These were used till the very late period of Maratha and even post-Maratha period in Maharashtra, and point to the popularity of this coin due to the popularity of the ruler Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. The later Peshwa period, we also see the Marathas issue a pseudo-Mughal coinage in the name of various Mughal emperors with Maratha kind of mint marks to differentiate these coins from the Mughal rupees of the region. And we also find a lot of mixed coinage coming up in this period due to variety of mints which had their own mint marks. We have also illustrated in this PowerPoint the variety of mint symbols that they employed, ranging from an Ankush to Devanagari emblems like Shri or Shri Ganpati, which basically showed the cultural development and the confidence the Marathas developed in their own selves. Thank you for viewing this module.